I didn't take any notes this time. I thought we were gonna just wing it. Let's see what
Let's
happens.
just wing it. It's not like we're talking about like a
Is it
super
like,
important topic or anything.
yeah, that's what this is supposed to be, right?
Just
Conversations,
a nice, light, casual conversation about nothing too important.
but nothing too intense, nothing divisive.
No.
Just like a nice leisurely combo with an old friend.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah,
Considering we haven't done this podcast for a number of months now because we took a little break and we finished our quote unquote first season.
true.
Yeah. So do you even remember how to podcast?
I do not.
I've been forgetting how to podcast. I don't know what
I
to
don't
do.
know.
What do we usually say stuff at the beginning? Do we have a little conversation? I
Oh
don't even remember what we
yeah.
do.
Let's do that. Okay, I remember.
Okay, but before that, how you been?
Oh, I was ready to go into the introduction. I have been fine, thank you. How are you?
Fine. Wait a second. Months have passed. What has happened since the last time we spoke? We've spoken, you and I, but we haven't done this.
We haven't had a podcast episode. Well, so what do you want? Like a day by day log
Yeah, every
of
single
my
day.
activities for the past 3 months?
It's either a day by day or just I'm fine.
It's just I don't know what to pick. Well, things are good. I'm back in school, and I'm teaching. Oh, you can probably hear my cat. She's still trilling around.
She's happy to be back on the podcast.
She's happy. Yeah, she's excited for the podcast. I'm teaching 2 courses in Spanish these days, and I'm taking 3 courses in French because I decided that I want to go back to school, to teachers college, but I need a teachable, and I decided to do French as a teachable, but I don't actually have any French courses, so I'm doing that.
Because for anyone who forgets, you're all about the languages.
I mean, I'm not all about the languages. I like them, and I want to teach in high school, but Spanish is actually like a teachable subject. Like when you apply for teachers, this isn't interesting. Is this interesting to people?
Super interesting. I find it interesting. My God.
Well, this is like basically a day by day log. So like to apply, you need to have a teachable subject that you've taken a number of courses in university. And I didn't plan ahead this much, so I don't have any of those things. So now I'm doing them. So I'm learning French. Cool. It's fun. Yeah.
Also, you have a PhD.
I do, yes, but it doesn't. It actually like sometimes it makes me more anxious. Like I was writing an assignment last week for a French class, and it was like kind of a literary analysis, but in French. And I was like, oh man, this is so bad. They're gonna like this professor's gonna like find out that I have a PhD, and she's gonna be like, who gave her that PhD? And she's gonna talk to people, and they're gonna take it away from. Like I was so crazy. Just like,
so wait, you want to teach high school, right? You said.
Yeah.
But you have a PhD. Is that like something that usually happens, that people?
I think it happens. Yeah.
Have PhDs.
I think some of our teachers had PhDs.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. So it's not that uncommon. I think I guess often they want to teach in universities or go on to do other things. But while I was in grad school, I also considered leaving and doing teachers college. So it's not like this isn't like a new thought for me. I always kind of wanted to teach high school, but.
Well, I'm looking forward to all the teaching you're going to be doing for us and our listeners on this podcast.
I don't. We're just talking.
Starting with today's episode.
We're just talking. Oh my God. No. So much pressure. Now I feel like I'm in a job interview or something.
I miss these overlong intros before we even intro it. I miss this. Remember, this is the thing that we did, and then everybody ducks out before we even start the topic. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know who's still listening to this. I'm sorry to everyone. I think
we have such a fascinating topic today that I think people are going to stick around to see what do we have to say about this topic.
I don't think anyone cares about anyone else's opinion on this. I think everyone has their opinion, and they're like, I know what I think.
This is a divisive topic that we're going to be talking about in any way?
No, I'm not saying I don't think it's divisive. I think people it's like you either agree or you disagree. It's not like, oh, I never thought of it that way. Like you probably thought of it. That's part of why I think I felt a lot of like pressure to write notes and to figure out, what should we talk about? But then it was also like, I don't want to feel like this has to be comprehensive in any way. Or
yeah, it's not. It's not going to be.
It's not going to be. It's basically just our opinions, which I think are no surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
But how are you, Josh?
I'm fine.
Oh, God damn it. Come on. What are you still experimenting on yourself? You've been
Actually,
doing
I just did another clinical trial recently.
Jesus. You're a human guinea pig.
Yeah, I'm a human guinea pig, and this one I don't even know what they were testing, but I get my blood drawn every
What?
once in a while, and
You
they
don't
give
even
me
know what they
money.
were testing.
I do. I don't know, but all I know is it was
What do you
technically
mean you don't know what they were testing? That's
okay. So basically, no, they were testing some. It's something called a biosimilar. It's like a generic version of a drug that already exists to help people with Crohn's disease and stuff like that. So this will actually make the drug cheaper for somebody,
well,
who gets
that's
the
good.
generic form instead, but they have to test it, and they have to test it on healthy subjects, which I am considered. So
you're taking an immunosuppressant in the
it's
middle
an
of a pandemic?
it's an immunosuppressant. Yeah. That said, it's a very small amount, and it's not like I have no immune system because I took this tiny little bit of this drug. But yeah, I mean, it was an immunosuppressant, so I had to be careful. But they're giving me money, so there's that.
Josh,
Mhm.
there are things more important than money in the world. You know that?
Anyway,
We don't do this for money. This is for free. We're spending our time on something that we just like doing for fun.
That's true. That's true. I do love doing this with you, Aya. And I'm so glad that we're back, and it's so nice to see you again.
Thanks. Anything else going on with you other than
I shot a movie. I think I might have already talked about it last season, but yeah, I shot a little movie. It's called Therapists.
do you have non-movie related news?
I'm a movie maker. What do you mean? That's what I do. I don't know if you know this, but I make movies, Aya.
God damn it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Non-movie related news. No, I mean, yeah,
like life. I don't know.
So much time has passed. I don't even know what to say. I'm coming. You know what's interesting? I'm coming to Canada for a film festival for my feature. It's also
I'm hearing
movie
this
news.
for the first time now. Yeah, no, it is, but
Yeah,
it's
you know this already.
It's okay. No, I'm learning for the first time.
For the first time that I'm coming to Canada very shortly for about 10 days, and I'm coming for a film festival because my feature anthology film, the Cluster B Quadrilogy, is playing at this festival.
The Forest City Film Festival.
You're going to be there, right?
Yes.
Just so everybody knows for sure that you're going to show up.
I'm going to show up. I was a judge for those.
Ooh.
I judged the films, so I have free tickets, but I don't want to see any of them again. I already watched them all. I'll just go, I literally would just go to support you, but can I just sneak in at the end and are you going to do a talk or something?
Yeah, it's going to be a Q&A and stuff.
Okay, can I just go for the Q&A? Is that supportive enough?
I mean,
will you be sad if I don't go to the viewing? It's just I already saw it.
No, of course. That's totally understandable.
I'm the worst friend right now. I'm sorry, listeners.
No, it's good. I'm just looking forward to seeing you when I come back to Canada. We're gonna hang out.
Yeah, no, I'm totally gonna watch it again. I'm gonna
see your cat in person, hopefully.
Nobody really sees her. She hides from other humans.
Do you see cats in person, or do you see them in cat?
I don't know how to answer that, but I really enjoyed the question. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And on that note,
yeah. Welcome back to Adulthood, friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that adverb, Josh.
Oh my God, I have to remember an adverb after all
this time. You have to remember one. You have to think of one.
I haven't used an adverb in months.
Well, those are boring months if you don't use any adverbs.
Inadvertently.
Things that inadvertently matter. Good one.
Yeah, makes plenty of sense. Yeah, that is your adverb of the week. Inadvertently.
I don't even understand that. Yeah. And I'm Aya.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome to episode something.
27.
Episode 27.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't prepare a thing. I usually prepare a thing.
It's okay.
And today we've got another nice light topic for you to bring you back in after all this time. What's our topic today, Josh?
Abortion.
Okay.
Did I say that sensitively enough?
You said that very intensely. Yeah. So got a nice little abortion show for you today. Oh my gosh. Please edit that out.
We'll see.
And we should be a little more this is how we deal with dark things, right? With humor,
anybody knows us. We talk about sensitive subject matter with humor.
we take things way too lightly when we should probably be a little more sensitive to other people's feelings. But if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to us. So that's the nice thing, is you always have a choice. You always can press stop. And
just a reminder
understand.
That just because you may agree or just because you may disagree with somebody doesn't mean you have to totally not listen to everything they have to say or shut them out of your life just because.
What are you saying? No,
you can disagree on things even vehemently and still love them.
I disagree with that so much that I don't think we can talk anymore, Josh.
I mean, obviously when someone, there's something to be said about, you can't disagree with someone's right to exist,
Interesting. Were you thinking about something specific there?
No, there's a lot of things like, well, I just disagree with you being allowed to live life and have rights. I understand why that could be very difficult.
Who says that to you?
So people say that without realizing they're saying that with some of their belief systems.
Gotcha.
And I think that I understand why some people might push those people or keep those people away from them in some way. But generally speaking, I do think we can disagree about topics and still, come together with love and understanding.
That's a lovely sentiment. I'm sorry I interrupted you so many times while you were saying it, but it is hard sometimes to listen to something when you're looking for validation on something that you already thought about a lot. Like sometimes it's hard to listen to someone's argument.
Mm-hmm.
If it's already an argument you've heard and you're like, I know what they're going to say and I don't feel like hearing it on my own time. Like I've had that. I was listening to this cult. There was a podcast about cults and they started talking about, or it was like, sounds like a cult. I don't want to actually name it, but things that sound like cults. And they started talking about astrology and I was like, yeah, they're going to rip through astrology. And then they were like talking about something like sun rising. Oh, my sun rising, this thing. And I was like, what? You know too much about it. And then the woman they brought on was like an astrologer lady who was like,
is it astrologist
I never claimed,
or astrologer?
Who gives a shit? But I was just like, sorry. Basically just this lady comes on and she was supposedly some sort of like astrology expert, whatever that means. And she was like, nobody claimed it was a science. I'm just claiming it's a useful tools for something, something, something. And I was like, I hate this. And I stopped listening to it because I was like, I respect nobody's opinion here. So why would I listen to this?
But you stopped listening, but you don't necessarily hate that person.
No, of course not.
Exactly. And you may even listen to that person talk about other things.
Right.
At a different point.
Probably not though. Should we get into it now? I'm sorry.
Let's get into it.
And we're back.
Hey, so good to be back.
It is good to be back. Yes. It was nice to hear that music too. I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah. What are you talking about? You weren't listening to episodes of our podcast every single day during the break?
Was I supposed to? How sad would that be? Listening to my own voice? I can't listen to our episodes anymore. I did in the beginning just to kind of like hear when I do stupid things like, oh, that sounds particularly bad, or like maybe I should like mute my laughter or something like that. But no, I can't listen to my own voice.
You are always a pleasure to listen to, Aya.
That's not true. How about the cackling though?
I love your laughter in all its forms. Look, I have friends that feel like they know you and they want to meet you because they've been listening to you.
That's so nice. I want to meet them too.
Just me talking to you, I have friends that like think better of me now because they're like, oh, well, you're talking to someone like her.
What? No, so that's not true.
So much more legitimate.
Aw.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same.
I miss your meanness.
I don't know why. I don't know. No, honestly, Josh, I told you this before, but I'll say it again on air. A girl couldn't ask for a better podcast partner, Josh.
Oh,
I know. Isn't that nice?
Oh, feeling is mutual.
Yeah, it was nicer the first time I said it, but
it's true. When you said it, I was like, why didn't you say this on the podcast?
You literally, that's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Because on the podcast, I guess my meanness comes out. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
That's all. I'm sure on this topic today, all kinds of things are going to come out.
Oh no!
Except for the baby, because
no, Josh, I knew where you were going with that. I really didn't want to hear that.
No,
that's so dark.
I'm sorry.
That was too much even for me.
Again, dark.
How about no visceral jokes? No viscerally dark.
How do we get through this without making dark jokes? How do we do it?
maybe let's just abort this episode.
Oh no.
We're only 20 minutes in. Is that too early or too late? Too late.
We've already
rather?
come this far. Everyone needs to know what are our thoughts on this subject. And there's a reason. Okay, so what is the reason that we thought we'd even come back with this
Yeah,
type of
good
topic,
question.
right? We could have
Good
talked about
question.
something super light and fluffy, and we're like, let's talk about abortion. Well, because it's once again kind of a big topic right now. Maybe I don't want to say that it is a big topic in the world.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I live in the United States of America, and it's quite a big topic here again right now because there are actual policy changes being made. Stuff that we thought was settled, is a little less settled now. Places like Texas, where they just introduced this, 6-week abortion ban?
Yeah. So anything after 6 weeks or a heartbeat. So even if it's before 6 weeks, if they hear a heartbeat, like you're screwed. And that's usually before most women even know they're pregnant. But
yeah, that's a big deal. So if you don't even know you're
That's a big
pregnant, by
deal.
the time you know you're pregnant and you want to get an abortion, they're like, you can't. Well, then that's just an abortion ban.
essentially, yeah. And I mean, there's another ruling coming up. Is it Mississippi? Which
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch that are trying to follow suit now.
they're following, but there's one that's actually like potentially looking to overturn Roe v. Wade. Like,
what is Roe v. Wade again, to catch everyone up?
so Roe v. Wade was the Supreme Court decision in 1973 that protects a woman's right to choose to have an abortion without government restriction. So it's pretty important in terms of abortion. And what they've been doing so far in terms of banning abortion is usually kind of cutting down on accessibility or saying things like, to have an abortion clinic, you have to have like 7-foot wide hallways or something, things like that, where it just makes it impossible.
It's like not legally not allowed,
Right.
but they would make it just so difficult for it to happen that it was basically not allowed, right? And
yeah, exactly.
in certain places, right?
Yeah.
We'll say very conservative minded places. Already we were trying to make access more of a thing, and now there's places that are going backwards, like Texas, and it's very scary because we thought we were past this point. I just want to say, like, right here, like, whatever your thoughts, your personal thoughts on abortion, right? This isn't about your personal thoughts on this, in a sense, right? Like, you can personally be against abortion. You can think that it's wrong and not okay and something you would never do. You can even think someone else shouldn't do it, right? But that's very different from wanting the government to put in place a law that will punish someone who gets an abortion or a doctor who gives an abortion, right?
Right.
Your personal feelings, it's like, yeah, don't get one.
Yeah.
Don't do.
Yeah,
don't
you don't
do
have
it.
Nobody's
You don't
telling you
have
to
to
get an
do it.
abortion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. I agree with that.
But if there's so many different, oh my God, there's just so many different angles to come at this from, and they all, to me, point at, and again, I'm a guy, so let's get this out of the way right now, right?
Yeah. So no uterus, no opinion.
Yeah,
right?
no uterus,
sorry.
no opinion. I have opinions. You can take them with a grain of salt if you're a woman and you don't think I should have an opinion. I get it. All right. So I
agree with your opinion. So I don't feel that sentiment, but
yeah. So, but that being said, in general, I'd say if you're a guy trying to restrict access to women getting abortions or their right to choose, yeah, like, step away.
yeah. Unless you're a seahorse, nobody gives a crap what you think about other people's pregnancies. The seahorses, the men are the pregnant ones. Did that make sense? You're not.
It does. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Okay, thanks.
I still always think it's strange that it's usually like a very conservative thing, right? Like in America, that'll be the Republicans, right? That are very anti-abortion and for, what they call pro-life legislation, right? Which I think is terribly titled.
What would you call it? I liked your name for it last time.
Forced birth.
Forced birthers, yeah.
Yeah, forced birth. I don't think Republicans are very pro-life in general. I don't think they're about helping children after they're born, or helping people when they're alive or people who are impoverished. I don't think that's what they're just about. Forced birth.
No, they care more about an unborn fetus than a actual human.
That's my belief. Yeah.
I'm so scared to say anything because I don't know, Josh. Okay.
I don't know. I do believe in standing up for what you think is right.
Of course. And yeah, of course. I don't mean that I'm not sure about my opinion. It's hard not to be insensitive when when you're talking about these topics, but.
Well, and we can get into why it's so sensitive either way. But I'm just going to say that it's odd to me that this is like Republicans and conservatives here are supposed to be about, non-government interference, right? The idea that like the government's too in the way, government needs to pull back. You don't want the government controlling your life. And they're all like,
Unless
the
it
government.
comes to, yeah.
Yeah, unless it comes to a woman's body. And then the government needs to get right up in there.
Although in that Texas law, like it's basically like vigilante justice, whatever you want to call it. Like it's random people anyone can just, there's a monetary reward for.
It's like $10,000, right?
Yeah.
Like if you report somebody who had an abortion or gave an abortion.
Or someone who like drove someone to an abortion clinic, like anything. So of course, everyone's too afraid to do it. So and there are a lot of, I would like to direct people to the many good podcasts that have like more details on this stuff. Not that we don't know what we're talking about, but.
Yeah. Do you have a list of those podcasts?
Sure. Yeah. So the Daily recently had the Daily by the New York Times. They had an episode on October 1st titled "They Don't Understand That We're Real People." And it was, so basically the reporters go to a clinic in another state on the border of Texas where a lot of women from Texas were going. And this clinic is like, they have so many more women coming right now, obviously because of the ban in Texas. And they actually spoke to a few. So you get like firsthand stories, like, why are you here? Like what happened? And you kind of hear from these women, and it's a good way to understand maybe a little better, because it's one thing to hear about laws and to think about this in the abstract. And it's another thing to hear specific stories from specific women who, like in one case, it was a woman who already had a kid and she was like, we can't even pay our rent. How am I supposed to support a kid? Like we just make enough. How am I supposed to support another kid? I don't want to bring in another kid and not be able to give them everything that a person deserves. And she had grown up in like a family with 6 children or something, and her mom was always struggling, and she's like, I can't put someone through that. I know that what I'm doing is right for that reason. So I mean, there are so many reasons why people get them, and nobody should have to justify it. But I think if you're not sure, I
mean, this law doesn't even have exemptions in case of rape or incest. It's
that's a whole other and I mean, those, like, I understand that's obviously those should have exemptions, but like, should people really have to explain? Like,
no.
Should there have to be some sort of justification? So did you know that in Canada, I wasn't even like, we hear so much about the States, and I was like, abortion is completely legal in Canada, right? It is. It's totally legal. That doesn't mean that access to it is always available. But did you know that it was you don't have to say.
Yeah, I just know Canada is better than America on this in general. But again, it depends, I think, state to state. Like I live in California, and I think California has been generally better, right? California is pretty good. There's more access here.
Yeah.
But it's such a huge difference, California to Texas or something.
I know.
I can't wrap and I was thinking it might be helpful to, there might be people still listening who are very anti.
Oh yeah, we should.
Let's call it we'll very pro-life, as they like to say, as opposed to pro-choice. And they might be listening and they might be getting upset. So let's see if we can dive into what is the pro-life argument.
I'm an asshole who thinks they can tell women what to do. Okay, sorry.
And by the way, for the record, I want to point out that is everybody who's quote unquote pro-life, are they actually, do they think, oh, I'm going to tell women what to do? And I'm
no, you know what? So
there are a lot of, they're very, otherwise maybe good people who have very good intentions.
I think that's true.
It's important though to point out that that's obviously, we get heated one way or another when we hear something like that. We'll say the other side, right?
No, and I can empathize. Okay, I'll try to empathize with the other side for a second.
Yeah,
this is very hard because I will clear. Like, before I say any of this, I'm very, very pro-choice, obviously. Yeah. But I can understand why the idea of aborting a fetus is upsetting to people. And I think what I would like to just share with people is that, of course, it's upsetting. And I would hope that they would understand that any woman who has to go through that is not doing it lightly. Like, that's not an easy decision. Like the women that I was hearing on that podcast, and anyone that you've heard about, it's one of the more difficult decisions they've ever had to make. But yeah, I do understand that the idea of doing that is not an easy one. And nobody wants to think about like killing a fetus, even if it's as small as a peanut, which usually is the size when most of these.
Yeah.
But I understand late-term abortions in particular might be traumatizing to think about. I don't want to think about it. I understand that that's like a horrible thing to go through, a horrible thing to see, a horrible thing to know is happening, but it's not up to you. Like, okay, can you pick up there, Josh? I did all the empathizing I could.
I guess, yeah, I'll try to go further on this.
Help
but
me.
I mean, it is important. Like, obviously, there's this idea that it's just like a bunch of, old rich white men telling women what to do with their bodies, and then they're secretly getting their mistresses abortions on the side, right?
For sure.
And that obviously happens. But I've had talks with women who are very, very anti-abortion too.
Oh yeah, what are their?
And the thing is
it just that they wouldn't get one? Like nobody's telling you to get one.
So that's the thing here. So it's the idea of it being a potential life, right? And people have different priorities, and people who prioritize the idea of life or potential life above all else, if that is the most important thing, and a lot of times, whether people admit it or not, that's a very religious belief, that this idea of life being so sacred, just life itself, the idea that
I'm sorry, every time I see stupid life is sacred, I want to like ram into someone's
but I do understand.
Yes.
I do understand that feeling, right?
I don't.
The idea that there was a comedian talking about this. I think it was, now I don't know much about Louis C.K. now, but
yeah, I knew you were gonna say it. And I was like, don't bring up Louis C.K. in our abortion episode.
I understand that's a whole other thing, but
it is
the idea itself. Yeah. It's like, if you do believe this, then abortion to you is baby murder, and if something is in your mind baby murder, then of course this is the right way to respond. If you're murdering babies, you have to put a stop to it, right? Because that's what they believe it to be. So that's obviously the big stark difference here. Are you murdering babies or are you not? But I think it's also more nuanced than that too, right? So it was a comedy special, but like the point that I was trying to bring up there is this idea that the sanctity of life to some people is such a priority that it's murder. So if you have an abortion, and if you truly believe that, I can understand why you think we need to start putting laws in place, because what do we do with murder and with murderers, right? There's laws against that if you truly believe it's murder. But I think that believing that is murder is very, one, not nuanced, and two, just incorrect. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's not,
in what other case is a murderer living inside of you and dependent on you for everything?
Exactly. And I think to me the most, and this, let's see if I can get this right, because I think this is the most important point that can be made when it comes to being pro-choice, is it's really a matter of body autonomy. And that's why people say pro-choice, right? A woman having a right to choose what to do with her body. It's body autonomy. For example, if, God forbid, if you were to die, you have organs that could be harvested to save other people's lives. Mm-hmm. But can the government come and take your organs after you're dead and save somebody else's life?
Only if you've signed that little thing.
You have to agree to it.
Yeah.
Because we already, in our society, we place bodily autonomy above even that. You could save someone's life for sure, right? But even though you're dead, you have to agree when you're alive, because we do place because the priority is body autonomy. And I do believe that body autonomy is very important, that you have the right. Although in that case, I think when you're dead, that's actually when you probably don't need as much body autonomy. But we still, subscribe to that.
People
idea.
Want their livers in the afterlife,
Yeah, they really want their livers in the afterlife, and their kidneys, and then you could actually. But a lot of those people would say, "Of course, I would. I want my body buried whole. I don't want to." Well, how pro-life are you then, really? Like if you wouldn't, donate your organs after you're already dead.
Oh, right? They're just pro their own life and the lives that they deem worthy, which are babies, because they're little innocent babies. Once they're adults or like living, breathing humans, they don't care as much. That's rude. I don't know that that's the case. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Also, can I just cut in with the bodily autonomy thing for 1 second? Please. Because recently there's been like, people have been using that for like, I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to get a back, like, because it's my body, my choice. And I was like, it's so upsetting to see people like co-opt that for.
They're not the same.
Not the same. And why isn't it the same? So not having a mask on or not getting a vaccine affects other people potentially. Yeah. You can infect other people. I can't infect other people with my lack of abortion. Like you're not going to get pregnant or you're not going to get an abortion by walking near me who had gotten I didn't
I
but
get what you're saying. I totally understand.
you know what I mean. But can
Of
you say
course,
it better?
it's actually, you're being very clear. We live in a society. We have a social responsibility to other people, right? So if we aren't wearing a mask when there's a virus going around, like, your body autonomy it doesn't come before everybody else's health around you, because you are actually putting them in danger. Although, then you have a responsibility actually to either stay away from everybody, or if you do go around them, then you have to do your part to protect them.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, like, somebody getting an abortion, no one else can catch that.
Yeah,
like, you're not
exactly
hurting the population. It's just something happening within one person's body.
Yeah.
And as long as it's just their body, it's happening within their body, that's their choice, right? Because body autonomy then comes first.
Right. Oh man, and there's also these, like, have you ever seen, I'm sure they have something similar, but we had these in London for a little while, where there were like these very graphic images of supposedly aborted fetuses. But there were like these horrifying images. And I was talking to people who had gone through miscarriages and things like that. And they were like, this is triggering for them. Like, it's very upsetting to see these images, people who've gone through miscarriages. It's, in some ways the process can be similar to an abortion, right? Like, there's a lot of similarities. It's really upsetting. And it's just embarrassing, but like, I was like stuck at a stoplight next to these people, and I yelled at them like a crazy person. I was just yelling at them like, you people are assholes. But like, I don't know why, but I was just like, what are you doing? Like, all these kids are going to see this. All these people who've gone through, you don't know what, are going to see this, like this giant poster. And it's just like it.
Yeah.
Do you really care about people? Because that's not what it seems like when you do things like that.
And if you do believe you were murdering people, then you believe you're going out there protesting murder. It makes sense in their minds, right? I understand that it makes sense in your minds that you're protesting murder. But I think what it comes down to is that's not what it is.
Do they really think there are these women who want to murder their own babies? And if they do they really think that those mothers, those women, well, as long as it's in their own uterus, but like, do they really think that those women should be forced to become mothers then? Like,
yes, they do.
If you think that a woman is capable of like killing her own baby, like, oh yeah, it's nothing, whatever, I'm just going to kill my baby. Like, and then you're like, you're not allowed. You have to have that baby and be their mother, because that's a better solution to this. Like,
well,
oh my God.
They will often say, like, if you can't take care of that baby, put it up for adoption or whatever.
The world is overpopulated. We do not need more people.
But also, it's the people saying this are not usually the ones supporting
immigration.
Immigration
or that,
or child services and all these things to help kids who need to be adopted. Welfare, all that stuff. It's like, again, it's all about birth. After that, you got to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you gotta. Now, then again, there are people out there. We're ignoring the fact that there are people out there who say, no, of course I do everything to support children that are already born, but I do believe that once a child is, once there is a fetus and you have potential life, you have to see that through, because otherwise it's murder. I'm sorry, but that's just what I believe. I understand that there are people I
wish they had been aborted, but yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry. I'm saying the worst.
It's only hard for me to hear that sometimes, not because I don't agree with your beliefs about this, only because I know people. I've had arguments.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I have had arguments and I've had debates with people that I love about this, right?
Really?
And they believe they're well-intentioned, right? And I believe they're well-intentioned too. So I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt generally when it comes to intention here, right? But in the end, there's two options. Somebody is forced to have a child that they don't want, or somebody can abort a child that they don't want. And both of those are seen as huge extremes to two camps. But we settled this in the past. That's what Roe V. Wade and everything was about. A woman's right to choose what happens within her body.
Yes.
And so I am personally, as you know, very vehemently like, I'm not just pro-choice. I'm pro-abortion. I'm all it's dark.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, as long as it's part of the mother's body in that regard, and especially dependent on her to survive, but as long as it is, that is her choice.
Yeah.
Whether or not you agree or not, whether or not you think she's killing that baby, whatever it is, it's not, you stay away. Like, you can privately judge and from the comfort of your home if you want, but getting someone to come and take her to jail if she aborts a baby that's inside her, or the doctor that helped. And also, let's get to the other very important side of this. Banning abortions doesn't stop abortions.
Yeah, it just stops safe
It
abortion.
just stops safe abortions.
Yeah.
And this has been proven time and time again. People then will go out of their way. If they're intent on having an abortion, they will go out of their way to do it in probably a very dangerous manner.
Yeah. Women used to put Lysol up there.
Uh,
Yeah. One of the first uses of Lysol was,
oh,
I mean, that was back in, sorry, I ruined Lysol for everyone just now. And then they would like die. Yeah, like it's not good for you.
There's a famous Romanian movie. I think it's called 4 Months, 3 Weeks, and 2 Days. Have you ever heard of this film?
No, I haven't.
I think it's basically like about a woman trying to get an abortion in Romania, but it's not allowed. And it's done like a horror film. The whole thing is a horror film.
It does sound like a horror film.
It is a horror film. That's the whole point in doing so. And again, there's a desperation to do so if people are usually choosing to get an abortion. So making that harder on women, I don't know. I think we're going backwards in some of these places. And I think it's worth talking about and standing up for what we believe in here.
Oh, you're right. And okay, so one of the other big arguments that comes up, or maybe not arguments, but one of the nuances is also how many weeks it's been, right? So they'll say when there's a heartbeat, for example. So I was listening to another podcast it's called Science Versus, and it's called What You Need to Know About Abortion. So if anyone's interested, it goes through the details of it. It's very like non-political. Nobody says their opinions like we are right now. It's just like the science of it. So when is there a heartbeat? What kinds of abortions there are? Because there's the medication route. So sometimes it's just taking a pill that induces essentially like a miscarriage. And then there's surgical abortion, right? Which is after a certain point. So if you're interested in all the differences, but that is also a way that sometimes people will say like, well, after a certain point, it's no longer okay. Like when does life start, right? Or when does it feel pain, right? So there's the feeling pain thing starts later. It's hard to know, but based on like brain scans and things that they've done, and that is much later. And I understand, I do understand to an extent taking those things into account, but it's kind of a slippery slope. I think you essentially just have to say like, if it's not born yet, it's not a baby yet. I mean,
also what they're using right now, this fetal heartbeat idea, right? If there's a fetal heartbeat, everyone's picturing like a baby with a heart.
I know, but it's like,
what is it? It's a grain of, it's like a grain
of rice.
A grain of rice with electrical activity.
Yeah.
And that's what people are protecting when they say the fetal heartbeat at that point over a mother's well-being and her right to have the life that she wants to have. And when we're talking about a mother's life, it's not just her life, like whether she lives or dies, right? We're talking about her plans in life, what her dreams are and the things she's going to do. And oh my God, God help me if somebody says, oh, well, she shouldn't have had sex then.
How about the dude? How about the fucking asshole dude? Yeah.
That too.
Also, like, what if she has other kids already? Like, do you not care about those children? Like they're born already, so it doesn't matter. Like that they don't not going to have enough to go around because they're not. I understand they'll say, well, then you should put it up for adoption. Like that's a hard decision. You're asking someone to go through the pain of pregnancy, the pain of labor, then to give up a child that maybe they would have wanted if they were in different circumstances.
And pregnancy and labor, let's be honest, is not just a pain. It's a life-threatening situation for a lot of people. It's something that is like, to force someone to go through that is, if they don't want to, is insane to me.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know. I mean, again, I would, once a baby is born, they're not, attached to the mother in that sense. That's personhood, I think. Then we're talking about personhood, and therefore, you kill a baby, that's murder, right? But as long as it's still part of the mother, like even once the baby is born, like a baby doesn't have any sense of self-awareness. The mother does, right?
I did. I came out totally self-aware.
I know you did.
I'm just kidding. I didn't. No, I'm just saying, like, who knows? Maybe there's someone out there who came out like totally like, boop, I'm here.
The fact of the matter is, like, a fetus at whatever stage being aborted doesn't know one way or another. But a mother's trauma, that is, to me, is something to prioritize.
Yeah.
And to deny that is to deny reality. And, look, if there's mothers out there that said, oh my God, I almost got an abortion and I didn't, and I'm so glad I didn't. Good. That's good. That's your life story. And that was your choice.
Yeah.
That was your choice. And the choice goes the other way.
Yeah. I'd be kind of upset if they were like, oh man, I almost had an abortion. I really wish I had. Like, That poor kid.
Yeah,
That would be
I'll
terrible.
be honest with you. If
Yeah.
my parents said to me like I really want an abortion with you, but like I couldn't, I wouldn't say I'm so glad you didn't. I'd be like honestly like just stepping outside of myself. I'm so sorry. I'd be so sorry
Yeah. Oh,
that you know what I
yeah.
mean. I am alive now, so the end. But like,
But we wouldn't even have this podcast. So maybe don't abort children so that people will have more podcasts because there aren't enough in the world.
or serial murderers.
You're one of those too, right?
So as I was saying,
Okay.
anyway, yeah. Then it's been a light, fun topic, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm a dude here. I'm just a guy with opinions.
Yeah.
But like, I did get into an argument once with someone very close to me,
Yeah.
someone very religious,
Oh.
and you know we're both Jewish. But I've gotten into this. I say argument. We'll say debate.
Discussion.
Right?
Debate.
Got into the discussion. Very heated discussion with someone that I love and I care about. And again, you and I are Jewish, but I mean, this person was very religious, very observant, and they're very intelligent. And again, I believe you can be intelligent and, you know, I believe incorrect about something, you know, it has nothing, that's not necessarily to do with intelligence in that sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, they were also basing it off of, you know, Jewish law, right? And it's like, if we were to point out, I don't know if you know what Jewish law is when it comes to abortion and stuff.
I actually don't. For some reason, I thought it's cool about it.
It's cool. So it seems to be cooler.
I hoped. I was like, no,
yeah.
we're okay on that.
We're
on
good
that
on
front.
it, right? It depends who you talk to, right? As well,
Yeah.
and some interpretations.
Right.
From what I understand of it, and again, I could be wrong, and I'd love to have somebody come and talk to us about that.
Okay.
It is cool. I think it's cooler on it than let's say Christianity, right?
Right. Or like certain parts of, because not all Christians are. Yeah.
Of course not. No, sorry about that.
Yeah, you should be. I'm so offended. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But it's all of this is just minefields to walk around, right?
I know. Yeah.
This whole thing. This is what we wanted to talk about.
This is what you chose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You chose this.
Because I'm pro-choice.
Oh, that's good.
So as I was saying, yeah, the Jewish view, as I understand it, abortion is allowed in the Jewish view if the mother's life is threatened in any way, in some way, right? Or she, you know, feels threatened in some way. And in that case, her life takes precedence over, right? Mm. Now, I would love to generously take that as, oh, that's up to the mother if she feels that sort of threat, right? If she feels that it's a threat to her, if it's causing her this anxiety about the rest of her life or any of that stuff, in the end, that's still her decision in my mind. And I'd like to take that as the Jewish view as a Jew. But I mean, I had a debate about this with someone who was like, no, that's not what that means. You know, again, I started to say, okay, Jewish view or not Jewish view. We're talking about the legal, when we're talking about legally out there, saying that someone's going to go to, again, it all just comes down to it. I often ask friends who are quote unquote pro-life.
How many pro-life friends do you have, Josh? You have too many friends. You need to cut some of them out of your life.
All sorts of things. No.
You gotta cut the pro-life out of your life.
No, it's good. It's good also not to live in bubbles, as we know, right?
No, you're right. It's nice. Yeah.
I know you're joking.
Sorry. I know I'm joking, but then I really throw you off of your game.
Yeah, what was I saying?
Oh my God.
So, you know, I will ask my pro-life friends because they will say like, hey, I'm against it for this reason, and that reason. Okay. But when it comes down to it, I will say, so you believe, just to be clear, because this is what you're saying should happen, right? Is a mother who opts to get an abortion deserves to go to jail for murder. Mm-hmm. And the doctor who did it deserves to go to jail for murder. And oftentimes they'll be like, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know. No, you have to know about that. When you're arguing, that's what we're arguing about. Mm-hmm. Not about whether you feel comfortable with the idea of it, but or I'm sorry, are you saying that the hallway of an abortion clinic has to be this large or it can't be built in order to restrict access? Like, what are you saying exactly? Because people are uncomfortable with the fact that there's a reality one way or another. Someone asked me, are you okay with this potential life being extinguished in favor of the mother's right to live how she wants to live? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I am in favor of that. There's not a doubt in my mind. Yeah, that is the more important thing that I would prioritize above all else. And I think it comes down to, again, bodily autonomy in this way. And again, unlike the bodily autonomy argument people are using when it comes to wearing masks or whatever, where you're hurting an entire, you know, all the people around you in society, you're not doing that in this case. It's just a woman in her own choice in her own body, and whether to have this potential life, that's up to them.
That's great. Oh, I'm so glad you're very articulate about this.
I don't
You're
know.
totally
I'm very
right.
passionate about it, but I'm also, like I said, I'm a man, and there's a certain, I do, like I said, I believe in empathy. We have to try to understand other people, men understanding women, pro-life people understanding pro-choice people, and vice versa. But there's also a certain element of I can never understand, but that's also part of where my belief on this comes from.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't have a say in stopping a woman from this choice if I can't really understand that.
Well, that's great. Very well said. Oh.
On that note, just because I said something so nice, I should keep going further with it and
Keep
say,
going.
not only should a woman be able to abort her fetus, I think that, she should just be able to, up until I think the child's 18, she should just, have that big red abort button. And if she's not happy with how that kid's turning out, just, hit that button. And
fourth trimester abortions all the way.
Yeah.
No, that's actually
10th, 12th
we can't.
trimester. Is that a
17th trimester? Should we make jokes like that though? Because does that lighten it too much? And then people are like, "See, you don't value life."
What
do
you mean joke? I'm just kidding. Oh no. I mean, we were already clear what we thought on this, right? Once the baby's out.
That's true.
And if somebody asked me, "Are you uncomfortable with?" Again, they asked me about drawing lines. Are you uncomfortable, Josh, with the idea of a woman having an abortion like weeks before, just a few weeks before she has? Yes, I'm uncomfortable with that. Of course, I'm uncomfortable with it. Do I believe that she still has the right?
Yeah,
I do.
I think that's a really good point, because I also so I was listening to that podcast, Science Versus, and it's describing exactly what an abortion is at different stages.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one point where it was kind of graphic, and I couldn't listen to it. I don't want to hear about tiny baby part, things like that. I was like, no, I can't hear that. That's horrifying. But again, that doesn't mean that the person who that being is completely dependent on, that it precedes the woman. She gets to choose. And I mean, the shit that women go through in pregnancies and in childbirth, I think it's so ridiculous to have anyone else come out from the outside and tell them what they can and can't do.
What was that argument that people were saying that, so then should we all have men get forced vasectomies? And then,
that's a great one. Please let's end on that.
Yeah, we all get men to get forced vasectomies, and then they can just get it undone whenever they want to have a baby. And it's
that's great. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Do you not want the government or anybody getting involved in your body? But we're talking about a potential life here.
That would solve everything.
This should save lives, don't you think? Oh, no. That's not on me. That's on the woman after she's already been impregnated.
I know. And it's not even like they have easy access to birth control and things. It's not like it's easy to prevent the pregnancies anyways. In the States where this is an issue, it's also
it's also you have to pay money for all this birth control stuff that's not funded by the government. What the hell? Yeah. Again, if you really want to prevent this kind of thing from happening.
I like the forced vasectomies thing. Honestly, I think that's a great idea.
And look, honestly, on every single level. Okay. So then we should have sex education in schools to make sure everybody understands.
Right.
How this problem? Oh, no. We don't want our kids learning about sex. Oh, okay. Well, then, they should have contraception readily available, not just available, but funded by the government so everybody has access to it whenever they need it. Oh, no. We're not going to have people getting funding from my hard-earned tax dollars.
Oh, my God.
Well, then they should just never have sex ever? Is that only when they want to have a baby? Is that when you do it? No, but I mean, I can pay for... I do call it that conservative mindset. And again, that's not fair to other conservative minded people who don't think like this.
And I'm sure there are left wing people who are pro.
But the idea that it's until something happens to me, I don't care. That's, again, it's just a lack of empathy.
Empathy.
Welcome back to the Empathy Podcast.
Welcome back. I don't think we're going to be able to end on me saying anything, because you got a lot of good points.
What about the 10th trimester abortions?
Well, you wanted to end. You were like, "Oh, we can't end now," because I was talking. But
no, can I add, by the way, the Jewish view? One of the things I was going to say really quickly.
I'm curious.
The fact that I think I said mostly what I know about that, but according to Jewish law, when a woman is going to get an abortion, if she is, let's say it's considered a situation where her life might be in danger and she is allowed to get one, that's right up until birth. Before the baby comes out, it's allowed in Judaism. So It's interesting. I guess it depends on your religion too, what you believe.
Yeah, who decides when it's like a threat to her though? And also, so the thing, like, at least in my experiences, a lot is based on interpretation, right? Like, oh, well, this rabbi says this, and actually that means this. So kind of depends on who you talk to. So that might have been that specific person that you spoke to, his opinion. But
I mean, he wouldn't say that. I'm pretty sure he would say that's what it is. But yeah.
right, but it's probably one, like, there's a little more leeway. Like, often you'll find kind of some mild variations in like the different but yeah, it doesn't really matter. But
It's important to point out that if people get heated as if it's one thing to talk about law versus what you're personally comfortable with. There are people I know, like, you can argue for a woman's right to choose and be personally against abortion. That is totally okay.
of
You can be
course, yeah,
personally against it, but understand that and I know people who
it,
do argue that, and I have a lot of respect for that understanding of that difference.
yeah.
And that's, I think, what people have to learn, to have some nuance in that regard and to have empathy in that regard.
Mm. Great. Are we done? Can we stop now?
That's up to you. I've been talking too much as some guy talking about abortion. But
No, honestly, Josh, you've done a great job. Like I've said like 15 times, this talking about this topic is, I mean, I just have my opinions and I know what I think, and it's hard for me not to just say that pro-lifers are dicks. So it's
yeah, and it is heated that way. And I just want to say, for anybody listening one way or another, like, obviously this is a very important topic to discuss in general, but right now with what's going on, it is important to stand up for what you believe in. We hope it's what we believe in, but
no, it's unless, okay, let's clarify. Only stand up for what you believe in if what you believe in, yeah,
is what we believe
the same thing that we believe in. Because otherwise we've heard enough of you. Also, one more thing. So when I was hearing the thing about the reporters at the abortion clinic, they were talking to the security guard at one point, and he's like, yeah, I just took this as a job at one point, and I was actually like really I am still conservative, and I'm just like actually anti-abortion. I just took this because I needed a job. He's like, but I've changed my mind since. And they were like, oh, well, what changed your mind? And he was like, the anti-abortion protesters outside, like they've like attacked him, like people do crazy things, and he was like, I can't be on this side anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think it's also probably the women who came in and seeing, what they went through, or seeing them as humans as opposed to just like walking uteri. But yeah. So don't be a protesty butt face. Okay.
Yeah. That goes for that. That goes for protesting hospitals during
oh my God. There's so many stupid things going on.
Stuff. Yeah. That's good. Just block access to hospitals when people need to. That's cool. It's real smart.
There's so much hatred for so much of humanity right now. Honestly, Josh, I kind of think that people who are anti-abortion or pro-life or whatever they want to call themselves hate women, whether they're women or not.
They hate women.
They hate women.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Even if they are women, I think they just hate women.
They hate. I don't know. They hate them.
They hate them. They hate their mothers. They hate women. They want to. Really, they think that women deserve to go through the shit that they might have to go through.
And that means
they hate women as an entity. They hate women and want them to die.
Oh no!
Or be miserable. You enjoy their misery. You thrive on the control you have over them.
And then they will say to you, clearly you love murder.
I'll be like, yeah,
pro murder.
I sure am.
And they say, well, as long as we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you not have, you said this kind of before, but you don't have a lot of people in your life who are like pro-life kind of?
I don't think I do. I don't think I have any fervent anti-abortionists in my life. Although I don't know. I guess I don't really know. Maybe I don't bring it up with most people because I not bring it up with people. Like I've heard people kind of like, oh, but it's a baby. I've heard things from usually like older men kind of thing. Like not older men, but like old men types.
Yeah, old man types.
And it's like, who the fuck are you? And then I get really angry. I'm like, I don't want to be the angry lady yelling at you because then they hate women even more. I'm sorry. I should rephrase. It's not that they necessarily hate women. It's that they think women are lesser and that their main value comes from having children. And so if they don't do that thing that they're supposed to do and that gives them value, then they suck and should be punished by being forced to have a child.
There is something to be said that is kind of a religious view, whether some people want to admit it or not. That's kind of what it boils down to. And I think people have to confront that.
Yeah.
That might be what they kind of think.
That might be. Yeah, maybe that's more what I meant. Yeah. Like the value is from their uterus is their value, a functioning uterus.
Yeah. And you know what? Women aren't just their uterus. I just learned that.
We're not walking uteruses.
I just
did
learned
you just
that. All this time I was just uterus.
You just learned that where that's as if like, oh, I just read this article. Did you know women are not just
exactly
their uterus?
Yes. And now they're not just objects. There's a whole bunch of things I just learned.
Oh, that's new to me.
Yeah, I just thought they were objects and property and uteruses, and that was basically it.
Is it uteruses or uteri?
I don't
even know.
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. And then they're just baby making machines, basically. And that's their purpose in life, to make babies. And then if those babies are girls, then their purpose is to make babies, and so on. Because life is sacred above all else.
Let's end on that.
But anyway, the rest of this season, we're gonna talk about way more fun things, probably too, and serious things, whatever we want, because that's what this is. It's a podcast. And it's been a pleasure getting to just keep doing this with you and to explore really important topics.
You too, Josh. I appreciate how well versed you are on things sometimes when
I don't know. I want to impress you. It's important to me.
You're trying to impress me.
Of course, because you're such a smart person.
Don't say that, because now people are going to expect me to say smart
you have a
PhD.
Things. I have to.
Don't tell people that. No, because I would prefer that people have no expectations from me in terms of intelligence or anything. And I know lots of stupid people with PhDs. Like, that means nothing. Let's please, low expectations.
I still look up to you either way. So on that note,
don't do it. Don't look up to me. Josh, I'd just like to say, don't look at me like that. I'm glad that you're around talking to people with patience and empathy about these things, because I can't. Like abortion and vaccination and things like that. I feel like you have a lot more. You seem very willing and capable of empathizing with people and actually having difficult discussions with them when they don't agree with you. And I think that's a hard thing to do, and I have a hard time doing it. And I would just like to say that it's appreciated. And that's the only nice thing I'm going to say for the rest of this season.
I do appreciate it. I will say it depends on who you have around you and whether you're not, we're in some certain bubbles or not, right? And it's obviously, if I have people around me that I love and care about, who are my friends and my family, and they may not agree on these things, if I want to continue doing that, I have to have that sort of thinking with them, right?
Yeah, you say that.
I mean, I could just shut out those people in my life.
Yeah, that's another option, right? Like, people do that. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it's hard.
If you already love and care about them, you're inclined to try to look. There's something I would like to say this about, and we've probably said this before, but when you have these debates with people, one way or another, you don't necessarily change each other's mind as soon as you have these talks with them, right? But over time, maybe even later that night, whoever's having more trouble sleeping.
Right. Yes, you've definitely said this. And it's a good
it's like the truth is, the next time they might disagree with you and you may not have changed their mind, but the next time they're having an argument with someone who's even more extreme than they are, suddenly they're using your talking points. And even on this, when I was explaining the other side and what they think, I'm using their talking points, right? People are getting their feelings across one way or another, and that understanding can help us find the answer.
This has been another episode of Adulthood, friends. Thank you for listening. Wait, what is our sign-off thing? I've totally forgotten.
It's been so long, yeah.
It's been so long.
Oh, yeah. Isn't there something about, if you get the chance, like us on Facebook and follow us on Spotify. We're everywhere still.
Or just listen. You don't have to do any of those things. If you don't want to, it's nice that you're listening.
Yeah.
But it'll help you get something out of it.
Because it'll remind you that we have new episodes.
Oh, yeah. If you subscribe. That's true. But it's your choice. Choices.
That's right.
Choices of the utmost importance here.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Did you see?
Is it forced listening that we're all about?
Yeah. So this has been another episode. thanks for coming back and still staying with us after all these months of silence. It's good to be back. It's anxiety inducing. I feel this is hard. I forgot
Well, we
that
did
people are
choose
going to
a
listen to
topic
this.
again that was not
Oh my
the
God. Why did
easiest
we
thing.
pick this?
Because
I'm
now that
sorry.
we've done this, we
Yeah.
can talk about anything. If we can talk about this, we can talk about literally anything.
Oh my God.
And we will. It's like a second season. We got to up the ante, right? Is that how it goes?
Right. Well, how can you get more like divisive than abortion? Is there anything more divisive than abortion?
Absolutely. There's tons of.
What is it? Tell me.
What?
What's
get
more
into that.
divisive than
No,
abortion?
not at the end. Not now.
No, tell me now. Tell me now, and then there'll be a little teaser for next time.
No,
what's more divisive than abortion?
Because some of these other things, it's divisive about whether it's even divisive.
What?
So then we have to like get no. Anyway, how do we usually end this thing?
I think one of us is probably talking, and the music sort of cuts out. But
it not necessarily though. The person who's editing
always.
May make the other person look super awkward and not cut them out.
That's true. That's probably what happened.
Abortion.
Oh my God, Josh, it's so weird. Don't do that.
Abort the episode.
No,
abort.
Please. Oh my God.
Gotta abort.